Hey guys, and thank you for joining me today. What I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to go through and I am going to set our February budget. So if you haven't already, you can go ahead and check out. I set up I posted the video how we set up our budget for this month. So it goes over as I was laying this portion out. But today I'm only going to be focusing on two portions of our budget, which is going to be filling out our bluff and filling out our actual budget for this month. If you're interested in the other videos, I'll have the links in the description of this video, but you can also go ahead and check those out if you just look into my channel. So I'm just going to go ahead and start diving in, and I'm going to work on the first portion. So the first portion is my bluff, which it stands for bottom line up front. So in our bluff for the month, what I like to do is I like to kind of summarize, everything that's going on our budget, everything that we need to consider and think about. That way, as we're going through on our budget, we have these things in mind because these are important things that you don't want to forget. Whenever you're making a budget, there's certain things you need to consider. Like, is there anything due for that month? What are the debts we have that we need to pay off? Is there any trips that are happening or any birthdays that are happening that we need to account for? Those are the kind of things that you need to think about before you set a budget. So because of that, I include that in our bluff. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out portions of this. There's one thing I think that I'm not going to actually fill out, and that'll be income. So this first line will be income. And so what I end up writing on this portion after I have closed out for the month for our family is I'll write down what we actually got for as far as income. So I'll write down, what we expected to get and what we actually got. And then that way I have those numbers whenever I'm planning forward, but I don't put that information here. So for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and write income. The next bullet is where I write our total amount in debt. And so if you watch any of my videos, you know that right now our main focus is getting out of debt. We started watching a lot of Dave Ramsey, and we kind of started tailoring our entire budget plan with the goal to get out of debt. There's a line that he says in his videos and in his stuff is that whenever people start going through his plan, it's because they reach a point where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's kind of where we are right now. So we have a bunch of little debts, of course, like his bike payment and my van payment and other little cards here and there that we've gotten. And we definitely want to get rid of those, but we know we can get those down, pretty quickly if we focus hard. The ones that are like weighing heavy on us are our student loans. He has student loans and I have student loans. He went to school, and he went to the school in El Paso where we're from it's called Western Tech, and he went for a diesel technician. So he has the bills for that. We are from El Paso, like I mentioned, and I went to UTEP. And so for my student loans, I got my bachelor's in electrical engineering and I got my master's in systems engineering. And how we did that was through student loans. So we just have a really big portion that we owe to those student loans. And although, we're both doing really great in our careers and the degrees definitely helped us, we just want to get rid of those bills and not have those anymore. We want to get rid of those student loans hanging over our head. And so that's kind of what a lot of our focus is on. So it's paying off those little debts, which we know we can get through pretty soon. But the ones that are going to, take a little bit longer that we have to attack more aggressively will end up being student loans. But because of our student loans, we have a total of $158,506.40 that we owe in debts. And so like I mentioned, more than half of this is student loans because I have my bachelor's and master's and he has his degree. So more than half of this is student loans, but we really want to get rid of them. We don't want to have the student loans anymore. And right now, with COVID, everything was deferred and interest was held up. And then while I was going to school, they didn't charge me. I just graduated with my master's in December of 2021. So that whole time my student loans have been deferred, and I don't think the payments have kicked in yet. I'll have to pay in a couple months, but they haven't kicked in yet. So, I mean, all that's been happening. So we really haven't been working towards them at all. But when we pulled them up and we looked at them, we're like, yeah, we got to get rid of this. So, like I mentioned, more than half of this. So like a good portion of this is student loans, but we want to get rid of them. So that's a number that we want to put in our bluff, so that way we can see what it is. And as we're paying things down, we can see the progress we're making and hopefully see this go down to zero not too far in the future. The next thing that I always put on here ends up being monthly bills. And this month is not one where we actually need monthly bills. Sorry, I forgot to spell for a second. This month is not one where we need this bullet. But I leave it on there anyways, just so I can keep the same structure, the same format. This is one that I'm happy with, so I don't feel like modifying it like I've been modifying everything else. But monthly bills will be where we'll track when we have to pay things like yearly subscriptions. So, you know, we have like Ring in our house, so that you pay yearly. This is where we would put that. We'd put, oh, Ring's due this month and the amount. Or if our insurance is due, we'd put insurance is due and the amount. But we don't have anything this month, so right now I'm just going to leave that blank. And then the last one we put is big ticket items. And so this is basically big expenses that are coming up this month that we need to account for and we need to budget for. And so we actually do have something in this category. So my daughter does compete out of town this month. And so she has a cheer competition that we will have to travel for. So I'm going to go ahead and put cheer competition. And then the amount that we're budgeting for that is going to be $1,700. And so the reason we're budgeting that is because all of us are traveling. We're all going to go because, you know, it is going to be at a time when we all can go. So, I mean, that's all of us. That's me, my husband, our 3 daughters, and our son. So, wait, did I count that right? $3? No, me, husband, $3, son, 6. There's 6 of us. So, all of us have to travel. And so, like, we're budgeting higher. So the hotel, maybe I should mark this down. I'm going to go ahead and mark this down with another one. So I'm going to break down the items. So we have hotel, which on this, we had to pay it up front when we booked, like, I don't know, 6 months ago. It seems like it probably was. But since we already booked that, that is paid. So we don't need that in our budget. We do need to account for transportation. And so transportation, we're budgeting pretty high because since it's a lot of us, we need to get a bigger vehicle. And then we need to rent the car seats and stuff because, you know, we have a toddler and an infant. So because of that, I think between gas and our rental, I think we're going to end up spending about $600 on that alone. So I'm going to make sure I mark that down. The next thing that we have is to actually pay for the competition fees. So that'll be like entrance fees. And I don't know what they are. I'm kind of just over budgeting. It's a 2-day event. So, you know, we know we're going to have to pay to get into for 2 days. So for that, I'm just budgeting $200. And then the next thing we have is food. So obviously while we're there, we have to eat. The hotel we are staying at, fortunately, does serve full breakfast. So maybe we wouldn't use this full budget, you know, because breakfast would be covered. But just in case, I'm going to budget $500. And then the last thing will be for entertainment. So this will be if we decide to do anything fun while we're there. Honestly, I don't think we have the time to do anything fun. You know, we fly in, she has practice, and then there's the competition for the 2 days. And then after that, you know, we'll be flying back. So I don't think we are really going to have time to do anything super fun, but, just in case, I'm budgeting $400, and I don't think that we'd need more than that. I mean, if we do find time to get there, because we fly in earlier than we'd actually check into our hotel, we might have time to do something. And if that's the case, then we can use this $400, but we might not end up using it. But I want to make sure we have it in our budget and we have it available just in case we end up using it. So that is our big ticket item that's happening this month, is that cheer competition. So the next thing that I need to put on here is I'm going to go ahead and put our goals. I put spots for 3, but right now I can only think of 2. I only accounted for 2. So I'm going to write those 2 down on there, and then I'll think about it. And if I come up with another goal, then I'll include it, but I don't think I really have another one at this time. I'll write them down real fast just because, you know, it takes a while for me to write and I don't want this video to extend too longer. So I'll time lapse a little bit, but then I'll come back and I'll actually tell you what these goals are. So I went ahead and I wrote down the 2 goals that we have talked about, me and my husband, and that we're focusing on this month. So the first one is to shred all credit cards and move to cash and debit only. So I don't think we're actually gonna go through, you know, shredding the credit cards. I know that it's supposed to be symbolic and stuff, but what we're doing is any card or anything we have on Amazon or on our phones or anything like that, we're taking them off, we're putting them in a box. And then we're going to make sure that everything we do purchase is only with our debit card or with cash. And then that way we just get out of the habit of relying on cards. And I added a note here that says we don't need the rewards, because that has been the main reason why we continue to use them, because we think, hey, you know, we're getting rewards points. But in the grand scheme of things and with our income and all that, we're not really gaining much with those reward points. I mean, there has been months where we get like $100 and something worth of rewards, but I mean, at the end of the day, once you start calculating interest and all that kind of stuff, and then just the habit of you know, constantly using them, we just want to shake that off right now. As you see, we're staring at a big pile of debt, so we're just trying to make sure that we're changing our habits and just changing the way we look at things. Our second goal is all extra income will be focused towards debt. And I put, you know, goals. I mean, I probably should have put hashtag goals. I think I'm going to go ahead and put that hashtag goals. This is just, I mean, anything extra, you know, sometimes if he does more hours, he gets paid a little bit more than what we project for our budget. And so, or like if we end up selling stuff like we did last month, we ended up selling clothes and toys and stuff, and we ended up with like $100 and something extra. What our goal is moving forward is that if we end up with any additional income, we want to throw it all towards debt to just kind of keep hacking away at this number. And then if there's anything, so like if any categories, you know, we end up paying less than what we thought, then that extra income or that extra money, we're going to pull it together and throw it towards debt. So our real focus right now is 100% in paying off this debt. So we're not really focusing on savings at this time. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do my February budget. For income, I'm not going to put our amounts. You know, we don't want to put our income amounts here, but I'll put our sources. So the first source will be my income. And so in this section, this is just, will be the total for the month. So it'll be my income. It'll be my husband's income. It'll be, his VA, he's a veteran, and then it'll be other. And I leave this category just in case if we end up getting any other money, which is like if we sell stuff or if we get a refund for something, which that happened last month. We had a couple of refunds. That kind of stuff will be here. So as far as refunds, I will put that the estimate is we don't really expect any of it. So if we end up with any additional income, it's not estimated, so it'll be extra. We'll have a positive difference here, and then that will be thrown into debt. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna write down our debts. Our expenses for the month. A lot of them are already in our calendar and they're in our tracker because, you know, we know what we have to pay, but this is where we start putting down amounts and start, you know, actually budgeting numbers. The other one was just, you know, generally what's due, and this will be like, you know, how we're breaking down our money. And then so mortgage, I'm not going to put the amounts. We have our Hulu payments, which is $21.64. We have Netflix, which is $17.99. We have iTunes. In iTunes, we have the bundle, so we end up getting, we get Apple Music, we get, what is it? I think you can get like the arcades. You end up getting cloud storage. I think we have like 50 gigabytes is what we have. So we have that. Honestly, lately it's been telling me that our family cloud storage is full, and I briefly looked at what it would be to upgrade, and then I think in order to get 2 terabytes it would end up being like $29.99 a month, and I just don't know if that's something we want to do. So I'm thinking what we're gonna have to do is, since we have so much already in our cloud, we're just gonna have to go through and clean it out, and probably clean out our phones. I know that a lot of our pictures, you know, they automatically store in the cloud. So I think it's probably time. I mean, I have a terabyte hard drive, and I have a 2 terabyte hard drive at home. So I think that what we need to do is we just need to kind of export everything and put it in there, and then that way we can reduce the amount of cloud storage that we're using. So we're probably going to have to do that pretty soon, because I don't really want to pay even more towards iTunes just for that storage, when if we have, you know, storage at home, why not just use those? So I think that's kind of what we're going to do, because I really did look at it, and I was thinking about it, but I don't really want to pay $30 a month for to Apple just to get that additional 2 terabyte storage when I have 3 terabytes at home. Electricity, I mentioned before that we ended up doing average billing. So right now it has our estimated monthly payment to be $230, so it should be at about $230 every month. And then if we use more, then it would adjust. Like if we start using a lot more than what it has our average billing at, it would adjust it higher. But as of right now, we're looking at paying $230 a month for electricity, which to me, I mean, it feels good to at least have that number for now to kind of focus on, because, you know, over the summer, I think our highest bill ended up being like $358. So when we go through months where we pay $200, and then we go through months where we pay, you know, $350, it's like a big difference. And so it really like impacts your budget. It's hard to kind of stabilize your budget. And so since we want to kind of stabilize our budget a little bit more, we signed up for the average billing. That way we don't have to worry about so much fluctuation. This next portion right here that I'm writing is essentially gonna be our cash envelopes, and they're not actually cash. We do them digitally, and I use an app called Good Budgets, and so we're able to track and sync between the two of us. It's free. We're able to see what's in our envelopes and what we're allowed to spend. And so gas, food, and then cheer expenses, because, you know, it's competition season, so we're spending a lot in entrance fees and concession stand fees, and if we buy them something, etc. So we have the envelope for cheer expenses. But these are the ones that we both use out of, and then that we're constantly using. So having them in envelopes and then being able to track with Good Budgets has just been working really well. This next category, which I think I'm going to end up having as an envelope on my own on the side. So I'll be tracking it, but I won't actually track it with our cash envelopes, is my business expenses. And this is, you know, the fees I have to pay for having the Etsy listings up. And then, you know, I have it on where it, you know, advertises them throughout Etsy. So I have to pay those marketing expenses also. So for the month, I just budgeted $60, just that way I have it so that I don't worry about it. I mean, I know I'm going to end up spending it. I don't know how much I'm going to spend, because, you know, the way Etsy does it is, I think you set a budget. So I don't think I'd ever go over that budget, but it's based off, you know, amount of clicks you get and all that kind of stuff. So for right now though, I'm just going to budget $60. The next thing I have is sinking funds. So I'll break down through this in a separate video, but basically it's amount that I'm putting away to pay for certain expenses that we know are coming up. But what I will say is that a good chunk of this sinking funds will be our trip to Orlando. We obviously have to have the money for it. So since we aren't, you know, completely stabilized and planned ahead on our budget as we want to be in the future, since it's this month, we're just going to pull it out of, we're putting it in sinking funds, but then we're going to pull it straight back out once we go on the trip. Debts, this one will fluctuate 100%. So right now I'm putting $1,426.68. But I can tell you right now that I already know that based off, you know, what we get paid, there is a difference. So I know we're going to end up putting more towards this. What I did with this number is I put the base amount with minimum payments that are due this month. And so this month happens to be one of those months where I paid extra last month on a couple of them, so they have 0 due this month. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave those at 0. I went through all the ones that do have payments. I got that amount. I wrote that down here. Anything else that we get extra, I'm going to start throwing into my debt snowball so that I can start paying off the lower amount debts. And then so that way I start going down the list. So I already know that with a good portion, I think right off the bat, I think I'm going to be able to pay off 3 or 4 of those debt amounts by throwing in that extra money towards them, by only giving minimum payments to everything else. Typically what I usually do is I always pay more towards all of them. I don't like to pay them the minimum payments, so I end up paying more. But since I really want to focus on Dave Ramsey's method and the debt snowball, I'm just going to give minimum payments on everything except for the lowest debts, and then I'm just going to attack the lowest debts to just get rid of them, which I think is a really good strategy because I'll slowly be seeing that list coming down. So the number of items on there will be less. The amounts won't drop as much because, like I said, most of our debts are in our student loans, but just being able to see that, like, you know, this month, I don't know the exact number, but let's say this month, instead of, we have 12 separate debts. And then next month, maybe it'll be 8. Because if we're able to pay off at least 4 or something, you know, being able to see that number alone just will make a difference and make us feel better. Even though, like I said, most of the debt is in our student loans, but, you know, it's progress, and it's being able to see these things tick away and go down. And that just is just to help, you know, mentally. So, yeah, so this is basically what I wanted to cover in this video. I went through our bottom line up front for our budget, and I went ahead and I laid out our budget for the month. So this is the budget that we're actually assigning for each categories. Gas is $350, food $600, cheer expenses $200. These will be the amounts that I modified during our weekly check-ins, because obviously I'm assigning $350, but there's no due date. It's just as we fill up and as we put gas. That way I have an idea of how much we're spending and how much we have left. So yeah, that's just kind of what it looks like right now. If you're interested in me going forward, I'll end up going through my weekly check-ins, and then I'll end up going through my debt tracker. If you guys are interested in those, make sure you subscribe to my channel. That way you can get the notifications for when those videos are up. And then you can go ahead and go into my page and watch me set up those portions of my budget planner. And then, if, like I mentioned, if you haven't already, you can go back and you can watch where I set up my planner for February. That way you can kind of see how I went through and I did these portions. And you can follow me on Instagram at Plan with Soto. I think I posted when I was working on my budget, and I post other photos and stuff just of my work life, planner life, fun life. You know, Starbucks is fun, so I have a lot of Starbucks cups, so I post pictures of my Starbucks cups too. So yeah, go ahead and follow me on Instagram, and until next time, bye guys.